just a minute while people come running in and out, you know, frantically getting down elevators that there's just one of, and things like that. Welcome to our panel. It's on pattern recognition in humans and what it means to writers. We're going to discuss how readers anticipate what comes next using logical reasoning to recognize patterns, and how this contributes to the writing concept of show, don't tell. And we're also going to talk about how that translates, allows us to write stories that other people can read in words and put in pictures in their heads.
So for me, that challenge translates into how do you make sure that you don't lose them, but you don't bore them at the same time. So I took seriously the admonishment of the writing gurus that I read as a teenager, which said if you're writing science fiction, make it really different. Do something that is not, that is an extrapolation in some direction. So it's not just same old, same old. So I did that, and there are times when that makes it hard to explain. People don't know what reality skimming is, they don't know what a Sebelite is. The cultures that I've developed are around extreme traits of characters that are not exactly the same as humans. So you really can't expect a Grellish woman or a Golden Demish paladin to behave in exactly the way an ordinary human being would, because they're different in certain dimensions. And that can be difficult if your readers are expecting that everybody's Ken and Barbie. And that a lot of the tropes that you work with do expect that at some level. So how do you play to the patterns that people recognize, but do it just different enough that you're not alienating the audience altogether?
I think maybe let's start out with an introduction. I'm Patty Briggs, and I write urban fantasy, but I just finished my 20th book, so I've been utilizing this information for a long time.
I'm Lynda Williams. I'm the author of the Oaklerell Saga, and soon to become the publisher of the Reality Skimming Press Enterprise. So anybody wants one of the news announcements, I'm going to become an Edge Bud. And I've been doing the Oaklerell Saga since I was a teenager, basically, and have loved books forever and read quite widely. I'm just about finished my 10-novel saga based on my lifelong thing, and I do stories set in the Oaklerell universe written by others, as well as myself in the Oaklerell Legacies series. This is book 9 in the series, and book 10 is the next one out, and I'll be coming out from Edge before the year's out.
Very cool. Okay, so let's start with just the basics. You all know that the brain in your head is a pattern recognition machine, and that's how it runs, right? That's why when they were trying to develop AI, artificial intelligence, in computers, they had a really, really hard time, because computers are not that. Computers operate essentially on binary. It's either white or black, or 0 or 1. And to get that to recognize patterns was incredibly difficult. If I put 3 lines on the board that we don't have here, I should have brought a whiteboard, because it's really fun. I can put 3 lines on the board, and you can look at it and you will say, it's a house, it's a car, it's a horse, it's a whatever, because our brains do that. If you take a computer and you say, and you put 3 lines down, it says there are 3 lines, and it can define the 3 lines for you, but it can't go beyond that. So when you look up in the sky and you see Santa Claus in the clouds, or you see an archer in the stars, that's a very human thing to do, and it's part of what makes us human.
Yeah, I can vouch for the being difficult. My master's degree was in computing science, and pattern recognition was part of the stuff, artificial intelligence, which I don't think we've really actually achieved. We've achieved clever algorithms for simulating pattern matching. But anyway, yeah, that's true. So what does that mean to people as writers, I guess, is the...
Well, I think part of it is it means that you have to be careful what patterns you give, and make sure the patterns you intend to give. And that means you have to be really careful of the subtle things in your books. Because you will say something about somebody, somebody will make some disparaging comment about their little sister, and and people will build a pattern around that. They will understand that this person has a problem with their sister, and you go on and you say, well, they have different parents, and this builds a picture. And then if you put them together, and they are really happy, joy together, then you have lied to your readers. Even maybe as a writer, you don't realize that you have done that. And readers won't realize quite what it is, why they don't like that scene, or why this book doesn't work for them. So we have to be really careful with the subtle things we put in our books, as well as the patterns of our plotline.
I have an interesting anecdote about that rejection factor. One of the things I wanted to do was create a race of people that had women and men being completely equal as warriors, so not Amazons in the sense of the men are peripheral. So my Vrellish, V-R-E-L-L-I-S-H, sounds like relish, characters are of that kind, and I studied up about hyenas, and then which females have as much testosterone in their bodies as the males, and I was looking at all these patterns, and of course the dynamics of their emotional relationships surrounding sex are different, and that was great. I got that to work, and to interact with my other races, the Demish and other characters that are more like Regency romance kind of opposite to the way the Vrellish are. And then I tried this out on my sister. I said, well, you know, the Vrellish are going to have strong clan child-rearing patterns because the females fight. It's verboten to fly if you're pregnant or fight if you're pregnant, both of which are hazardous. But they fight and they do risky things, so there could be opportunities, cases where the mother might be killed and her brothers or something might be needing to take a big share of the child rearing. So Vrellish guys have got to be good with kids. They've got to enjoy playing with kids, looking after their sister's kids because it's matriarchal from the family point of view. So I thought, well, you know, it would be good if they were able to breastfeed the children. Like if the mother died, that her brothers or uncles, because it would always be her femkin, her mother's male relatives that would be there to help, could take on that chore too and help. And I tried that out on my sister, and I got this, no, like I could not find a guy sexy if he was capable of breastfeeding. That was it. And Vrellish guys are sexy. I mean, I need them to be sexy. The Vrellish women are sexy, the men are sexy, and they're very sexy people. So I thought, okay, it's not worth it. You know, I mean, it makes sense to me in a sort of world-building way, but I'm not going to go there because that would violate the too far. They're already not romantic because they're different sort of behavior patterns. So no, the Vrellish guys got off the hook for the breastfeeding because of that.
That's awesome. I think that one of the things that we have to be very wary of as writers is that, and this is something, you know, I'm a pantser, and this is easier for me than people who are outliners. And the reason for the thing that I have to be really careful of is not allowing your readers to predict where you're going in your books. When I did Mooncalled, I killed off a character fairly early on, and I've gotten a lot of crap about it since, because I'm Happy Bunny Patty and my readers don't expect me to kill off nice young men that we really like. And the reason for it is that if I had allowed him to live, then the book would have followed a certain pattern that you could have seen from the first 100 pages of the book. And I didn't want to do that, and there was no way I could let him live.
But then you do have the challenge of disappointing expectation, and my rule with characters is that they can't die until they've achieved what they're there to do. Like if somebody has a problem, you solve it. And I like to retire them in a way that they can go off stage and enjoy the benefits of their life. If they're in an impossible situation and that's the crux of the matter, then yes, they do have to. If they have to die, they have to die. But I think the disappointment is biggest for me as a reader. If I had a pattern that I was recognizing and I was thinking, oh yeah, you know, how is this person going to solve this problem? And then you just kill them. Like Tasha in Star Trek when she just got killed because, what's the reason? Well, the reason is that she wanted to leave the show. That's not a satisfying reason for it. At least your characters can't do that. They can't go, I'm out of here because you're not, I want to go work for another author. No.
Lynda,
You're not paying me enough.
Yeah. If you're a pantser, they definitely can't.
Some of them have wandered into other people's books, where I sometimes worry about now that other people are writing stories set in my universe and they're using some of the characters from the main saga. Just a minute, don't let them misbehave in their universe. Try to keep them within the pattern that I would recognize. So pattern recognition, I think characters are a huge pattern.
Yes, absolutely. And what's really cool, well, we talked a little bit in the workshop earlier, When characters walk on the stage, they are kind of a neutral. They're like a neutral mannequin, and if they resemble anything, they sort of resemble whoever the reader is. And from there, we give you little hints and clues. And this is where, like, the use of tropes is incredibly valuable, because I can say, you know, this is an innkeeper, and all I have to do is say innkeeper, and you have a picture in your head, right? And then all I have to do with this innkeeper is make him different from all the other innkeepers you've read about, and I can have him skinny and cranky, or I could make him a dwarf. I could do something else to make him feel like not all the other innkeepers that you have read, and at the same time you're really comfortable with him as an innkeeper, and I don't have to describe him for 400 pages so that you have this picture of this innkeeper in your head. Michener, I know, made a huge career out of describing minutiae for everybody, but most of us would rather get onto the story and get out of the description.